important is tonight for LeBron's MVP case?
Well, Jenny, I'm glad you brought me on. I'm pretty sure it was all your idea to talk some sense here
Always
on this discussion. Glad to be back. But look, let me talk about this. Whenever we're talking about MVP candidates and looking at their resumes during that season, we tend to look at marquee games and marquee matchups. And the Brooklyn Nets, it doesn't get no bigger than that. Now, I will say with Kevin Durant being out, I think that takes a lot of the firepower away from what could happen with LeBron when it comes to his MVP candidacy. But I will say this, he has a lot to carry right now. And if he is able to defeat the Brooklyn Nets and play spectacular and particularly outplay James Harden and Kyrie Irving, then look, this can do nothing but bode well as a voter, as a voter. I will look back on some of these marquee matchups, these marquee games, and this could be one of those games I look back on that could it sway it or not? I don't know, but it's something to look forward to. But I will say this, I don't want to get too much off topic, but there's a guy by the name of Damian Lillard over there in Portland who is heating it up, has the Portland Trailblazers in fourth right now. So LeBron, I say he's carrying a load, but he's not carrying the same load that Damian Lillard is without C.J. McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic. So LeBron, it's probably his to win right now. If I'm doing an MVP ranking, probably number one LeBron because they're number two in the West. You got to look at guys like Joel Embiid is doing it over in the East, number one in the East. But, there's a lot to gain from this game. But I wouldn't say it's all in. It's going to all in with tonight's affair.
I agree, with the Dame Lillard situation. I tweeted that last night. At some point in time, we're going to have to mention his name in the MVP discussion. But I think the biggest thing that LeBron has working in his favor, Chris, is that he's playing these games and he's winning these games without Anthony Davis. Because what was the thing? Oh, he had AD. If he can continue to win, keep them in the 2 seed. And Skip and I got a couple of cases bet that they were going to go 6-3 in this 9-game stretch, which we will believe at least 9 games without Anthony Davis. If he can go 6-3, he can go 7-9 and do what he's been doing, I don't see how he would have not done anything to lose any ground in the MVP race. So with that saying, winning is going to be the most important caveat for his MVP. LeBron's going to be LeBron. The thing that I hate is that it's stressing his minutes because he was trying to keep those minutes around 33, 34, Skip. And for the better part of 12, 13 games, he was at about 32 minutes a game. And then all of a sudden it went to 33, went to 34 minutes, and we're going to see even more of that because there is no more AD, and he's going to have to take on more of the scoring load and more of the rebounding load, hence the 13 defensive rebounds. So LeBron's going to be LeBron. We're going to win this game tonight, and we're going to be 2-0 without AD since he's been out 5-1 already without AD.
So I have one quick question for both of you. Can LeBron James get any breaks or what?
What breaks?
He gets to duck the Clippers in the bubble last year, and then he gets the 5 seed from the East. He gets the Heat. And in game 1, they lose arguably their 2 best players at that moment. Dragic, who was leading them in playoff scoring, and bam, their heart and soul, they're gone in game 1. How lucky are you there? And then we get to what we thought was going to be the marquee matchup of this regular season. At Staples, the new Nets, the nothing but Nets. But they don't have the best player on the planet. There's no Kevin Durant.
So let me ask you a question, Skip. If I'd have told you before the beginning of the season, there was going to be a game between the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James, with Kyrie Irving and James Harden, would you have said that would have been a marquee matchup?
Well, not bigger than if it would just been KD and Kyrie. I'd say that'd be a marquee matchup.
So they don't have AD. So what do you think about that? Is that a break for LeBron? He doesn't have AD.
I think LeBron should win this game. They're favored to win this game. And I think the pressure has actually mounted on LeBron tonight because I think everybody will expect him to win this game. You expect him to win this game. I believe Chris expects him to win this game.
Even if KD was there, I would have expected him to win.
I wouldn't, because that's his nemesis. That is the man who shot it right in his grill, in his house, to win the MVP in Game 3s back-to-back in the final.
Did he do that? What was that? OKC when he did that, right?
Who?
KD.
He was with the Warriors.
Okay.
But did the Warriors not need him? Did they not beg him to come and save them after they blew that 3-1 lead?
Skip, it was a perfect match. It was a perfect match. They needed him, and he needed them.
Okay. So, Chris, I give you this. LeBron is leading the MVP race by default because, listen, the guy I saw last night, and I watched the whole game, that 7-foot monster in Philadelphia, he is something, but he hasn't played enough games. So you dock him for that because he did play without Ben Simmons last night, and he was spectacular, albeit against the Rockets. But listen, Boogie had no chance against Joel Embiid last night.
No.
So, Chris, how much do you have LeBron ahead in the MVP race, and why do you have him ahead?
I have him ahead right now simply for their placement and the fact that, a lot of people didn't think, he would be able to play at a level right now. Most people thought AD at some point, whether it was last season or this season, will take over the threshold of carrying the offense. But LeBron James is still doing it, and the Lakers are playing at a high level. To me, Skip, Shannon, there's no clear-cut MVP favorite right now. It's in flux right now. If I have to pick my top 3 candidates right now, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, it was Nikola Jokic. He was in that top 3. Denver has slid a little bit. I believe they're 7th or 8th right now. I got to go with right now LeBron, number 1, by a hair, Joel Embiid, Damian Lillard. And Damian he's catching guys. But LeBron has a hair, and he has a golden opportunity right now to show people that he can still carry a team in the Western Conference, keep them in the top 2 in the West, without AD being there for a long period of time. It's going to be hard to overlook that if he continues at that pace.
Okay, so Chris, quick questions. Does it bother you at all when it comes to LeBron's MVP case that he is second in the league in turnovers and he's about to track down Luka, who is first? Does it bother you that in the month of February, LeBron in 8 games is shooting 28% from the three-point line because he's fallen way off that hot streak that he was on? He's now 14 of 50 in February from the three-point line. Do those 2 stats bother you?
Well, it would bother me if it's indicative of how the Lakers play.
They losing.
Now, if they're losing, it will bother me. But I will say this, Skip, I don't look too much into percentages. I look at the impact. Because as we've seen, there's a lot of players that play in this league that you look at the numbers and you look at, wow, but they have no impact on the game. I don't think anybody can make the case that LeBron James doesn't have an impact on the game. There may be a night where he has 8 or 9 turnovers. I mean, he just shoulders so much of the offensive load of getting guys involved. That kind of comes with the territory. So to answer your question, unless the team is losing, unless it translates to that, then I have to look at those numbers and say this is the reason why. But if he's making a great impact on the game and they're winning, I can't hold that against him.
Okay, and then flip it around on the Nets. Are your doubts rising about their ability to win the Eastern Conference now that those big 3 have played only 6 games together? It's 7 that they were actually in the game. Remember, KD got yanked out of that game, so I'm not going to count that one. So it's 6 games those 3 have played together so far.
That's definitely concerning and alarming. But I will say this. I wouldn't say I'm more so concerned about that because I think at the end of the day, they'll all be there when it's time to really play. I'm talking about the postseason. I give the Nets a better shot now, not because of what they've been able to do on the court, but I give them a better shot now in the East because Milwaukee has disappointed me to this point.
Oh, my goodness.
And if Milwaukee isn't up to the standards that we all thought they would be, they're supposed to have improved, especially with the acquisition of Jrue Holiday. But if they don't reach that level that we thought, I don't see anybody over in the East, aside from Philly, not to disrespect Philly, but there's not many teams out there that can really, you could say in a 7-game series, that can give it to Brooklyn. So for Milwaukee's disappointing start, I kind of favor the Nets a little bit more than I did early on.
I like Philly also, but the question is, Skip, come playoff time, you play every other day. Can Ben Simmons give me 40 and 20 every other day? Now, I know in game 1, after a 2 or 3 day layoff, he gonna probably give it to somebody that first game out the box. But then you start playing every other day. And we've seen, Skip, come playoff time, we've seen Joel Embiid miss games. His tum-tum is hurt, something going on with that. The baby carriage wasn't good enough for him. So that's what's concerning about me. We know the Nets. Those 3 guys, the firepower, but you got to make them pay on the other end, Skip. You got, because, look, they're looking to outscore you. 130, if they can win a game 130, 128, oh, so be it, as long as we won the ball game. And so they're not going to have the problem, because we believe that was the problem with the Clippers. They really never got a chance to play together, Skip. But even if they had played together, they don't possess the firepower that the Brooklyn Nets got.
Nope.
Nobody. I don't believe, like I said, nobody has had this kind of firepower, Skip, what they can do.
Okay, but do not sleep on that team in the basement at Staples. Do not sleep on the Clippers.
Guess what again? Paul George hurt again. What's Kawhi doing again? Chris Haynes hurt again. Pat Bev, all he do is cheerlead. He pulled a hamstring, cheering, jumping so high. Hold it up, go, team, go.
And they're so deep they can win without those guys.
I couldn't tell you, they win last night?
No.
Okay, then.
They won 3 quarters last night. Well.
We at the top, Skip. I mean, we're looking. Do you want them to see our rings? Well, y'all saw them open tonight. We showed them to y'all open tonight. We got these courtesy of you guys.
Really? I took one to the jeweler, a jeweler friend of mine. He said it's cubic zirconia.
See, there you go. Hey, Chris, you see what I'm saying, Chris?
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.